What's going on, people? This video today is talking about my 1-month EDC edge holding study of the Rex 45 Para 3, as well as the edge I put on it using the Sharpmaker files from Spyderco and the diamond file as well. Now first, the EDC edge holding study. After I tested the Rex 45, comparing it to the M4, after that test was completed, I didn't resharpen either one of the knives. I simply stropped them both and proceeded to carry the Rex 45 for a total of 4 weeks. Now, I'm cutting things from, well, primary things that I cut on my daily EDC is cardboard, cloth, tape, and then the things that don't come up too often are zip ties, plastic strapping, shrink wrap, and wood. I don't really cut paper on my regular EDC. But yeah, after the first week, the edge was almost hair whittling. Not quite, it was still grabbing at the hairs, but it wasn't quite hair whittling anymore after the first week. So I proceeded to strop it with 5 micron diamond compound on leather and a 3.5 micron diamond compound on leather, and it was back to hair whittling. During the second week, same tasks, well, the common tasks mostly. After the second week, again, it was not quite hair whittling anymore. I was still catching at the hairs. So I did the same, I used the same stropping, 5 micron and 3.5. By the third week, by the end of the third week, it took a little bit more than just dropping it with 5 micron and 3.5 micron. So went a little further, did 2.5, then 1.5, and then stopped at 1 micron, and it was back to hair whittling. By the fourth week, it didn't even grab at the hairs anymore. It was pretty much done in terms of hair whittling, but it could still slice through receipt paper and newspaper. So it still held up an edge even after all that testing that I did with it compared to the M4. So final results for that is, you take the level of sharpening to the same level that I did, at least, then yeah, you can have that edge serving you well for over a month. Now, in terms of corrosion, I had a little bit of spotting. Like, I work in a dirty environment, so I had a little bit of spotting. But yeah, what I use is I use a particular formula with baking soda and vinegar. Take a sponge, I split it, cut a piece off, and then I'll like dab some vinegar onto the sponge. I don't want it soaked. I don't want it soaking the sponge. I just want it, like, just to moisten the surface of the sponge, and then put the baking soda on, and then proceed to wipe the blade and then wash it off afterwards. Second little trick I do is using a pink pencil eraser. Now, with the baking soda and the vinegar, it's cleaning the blade, it's sterilizing it in a sense, not just cleaning it. But yeah, if you want a quick fix, yeah, pink eraser will do you just fine. But yeah, overall, after the first 2 weeks, like, at the end of week 1, I oiled the knife. At the end of week 2, I oiled the knife. After that, I didn't really bother with it anymore. And yeah, haven't seen any staining since. And yeah, so overall, and for me, I'm accustomed to knives that aren't stainless and aren't even semi-stainless. So yeah, depending on your area, like if you're living near salt water and all that stuff, it varies depending on where you live around the world. But overall, it doesn't really give me any problems after the first 2 weeks. I didn't really oil it afterwards, and yeah, just kind of kept an eye out for any staining or spotting happening. No further staining or spotting happened since. Okay, now for the Spyderco Sharpmaker edge. I did sharpen it with the Spyderco Sharpmaker files. Got the medium and the fine, and I used the diamond as a coarse. Now with this type of steel, I mean, you're talking about tool steel, high-sped tool steel that has a generous level of toughness and is rock weld, usually either just under, just over, or smack dab in the middle of, like, you know, the mid-60s on the rock weld scale. So you definitely have to start with a coarse. Without a coarse, you're going to be spending a lot of time sharpening it. But yeah, and another thing too, full disclosure, my hand sharpening is mediocre. I'm practicing once in a while just to get better at it, but until then I use a system called the Edge Pro. Now I alter my Edge Pro so that I can have stones and plates that are unconventional to the standard Edge Pro templates and stones. Now, first thing I started off with was the diamond, and the diamond gives me a burr, and I'm able to remove the old steel on the surface of the edge bevel fairly easily. I've grown quite accustomed to it. It's always been my course, even when I'm using different plates. That's always been my course. Then I proceeded to the medium file. Now the medium file, that's when I noticed that, okay, it's not penetrating it as much, but you'll notice that I use sweeping motions, up and down motions, just to create different scratch patterns as I go along, because then it makes it easier to shave the steel off and create a burr. Although with the medium and the fine, I mean, it was pretty hard to locate the burr, let alone make sure that I had a burr from heel to tip across the apex of the edge. Very small burr it creates with this steel, but I was able to do so. Then I proceeded to strop it with, oh, and quick thing before I get through anything, I'm gonna leave a link in the description of this video. It is to a Sharpmaker on YouTube by the name of Michael Christy. Now the link will direct you to a video of him hand sharpening, and he's got some incredible hand sharpening skills. It'll be a link to a video of him using the Sharpmaker files, the coarse and the fine, and you'll see the same motions, the similar motions that I've used with the Edge Pro. You'll see him using on the thing, because you really have to alter scratch patterns. You have to alter the scratch patterns as you go along, or you're going to be spending a long time. I mean, it wasn't quick for me to use the standard Sharpmaker stones, but I managed to do so. Afterwards, I proceeded to use my strops, all diamond compound loaded leather, and did the 5 micron, 3.5, 2.5, 1.5, 1/2 micron, and then stopped at 1/4 micron. And this is the finish that came up. Almost mirror polish. It's a little bit foggy, but it's there. I think I have a little bit of a snippet of a video showing the reflection of it. But yeah, then afterwards I proceeded to go through fairly dense cardboard and carving some wood. Yes, because we have to carve some wood with the steel. But yes, proceeded to do so, and then afterwards check the edge. The edge has got bite, not as good a bite as I got with the previous sharpening, and if you want the description of that previous sharpening, go back to the Rex 45 versus M4 steel clash on my channel. and read the description in that video, you'll see the total. You'll see all the things that I use to sharpen both those knives. It doesn't have as much bite as the previous sharpening, but it's not too far off. So yes, to answer a couple of viewers' comments as to whether or not it can be sharpened, the Rex 45 can be sharpened with the Sharpmaker files, yes, but you have to include at least the diamond file or the CBN file. You have to start at coarse. If not, you're not going to get an adequate sharpening. In fact, it's also going to be painstaking to get optimal sharpening with just the medium and fine files. Now, quick little look at this little beauty right here. Yes, another pair of 3. This is the St. Nick's Knives exclusive pair of 3. Blacked out DLC with the CPM 4V, another tough steel. Ooh. It's got that beautiful crimson red G10. A little bit transparent, but you know, if you remember seeing like the S110 V Spydercos, getting those rich dark colors, you're not going to have that dye going all the way through, otherwise you won't get that type of richness in color. But yeah, blacked out hardware, blacked out lanyard hole, stop pins blacked out, pocket clips blacked out. Still got your silver liners and lock bar, but that's all good. Nice little beauty, can't wait to test it. Video coming soon. Anyways, people, hope that was helpful, and yeah, alright, I'm out.